Welcome to IQD Dinar News, your go-to source for the latest updates on currency exchange rates, revaluation news, and insights into the Iraqi dinar. Stay informed and ahead of the curve with our timely analysis and breaking developments. The assertion that many blame Sudani and Alaq for the delay in the monetary reform process in Iraq reflects a widespread but mistaken belief regarding the nature of monetary policy reform and the roles of key individuals in the process. The people who make such claims appear to lack a nuanced understanding of the mechanisms involved in monetary policy, exchange rate adjustments, and financial reforms, as well as the actions and intentions of the key figures leading these changes. To attribute the delay in reform to Sudani and Alaq not only misrepresents their contributions but also overlooks the complex factors that impact economic reform. Instead, these leaders, including Barzani, have been instrumental in facilitating progress toward reform, advocating for stability, and conveying the government's intentions to the citizens. This explanation elaborates on why blaming Sudani, Alaq, or Barzani for any perceived delays in the reform process is both inaccurate and counterproductive, and highlights their proactive roles in driving success in Iraq's financial reform journey. To understand why some individuals might inaccurately blame Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani and Central Bank Governor Ali Mohsen al-Alaq for a perceived hold-up in the monetary reform process, it is necessary to delve into the broader context of Iraq's economic landscape, the nature of its reform efforts, and the roles that these leaders are playing. The monetary reform process in Iraq has been a long-standing and multifaceted undertaking, involving efforts to stabilize the economy, combat inflation, and bring about a favorable exchange rate for the Iraqi dinar. These efforts have taken place against a backdrop of economic instability, political tension, and challenges in the regional and global economy. In recent years, Alaq, as the central bank governor, has spearheaded initiatives aimed at modernizing Iraq's banking system, improving financial inclusion, and bolstering the country's foreign exchange reserves. His efforts have been crucial in setting the stage for reforming the exchange rate mechanism to support economic growth and protect the value of the Iraqi currency. However, the road to reform has not been straightforward, with multiple obstacles emerging from both within and outside the country. These include issues such as corruption, economic mismanagement from past administrations, political instability, and regional conflicts. Despite these challenges, Alaq's strategy has been focused on ensuring the resilience and credibility of Iraq's monetary policy, which is not a process that yields immediate results. It requires meticulous planning, negotiation, and an appropriate balance of economic measures to be effectively implemented. Sudani, on the other hand, has been instrumental in creating a political environment that supports the ongoing economic and monetary reforms. Since assuming the office of Prime Minister, he has worked on stabilizing the political scene, facilitating dialogue among various factions, and addressing issues related to corruption and misallocation of resources that have plagued the country for years. By focusing on these areas, Sudani is creating the necessary conditions for monetary reform to take hold and be successful in the long run. His administration has had to navigate not only economic concerns but also the social implications of reform policies, such as subsidies or fiscal adjustments, which directly affect the daily lives of citizens. To blame him for any delays in the reform process fails to take into account the delicate balancing act required of a leader in his position, particularly in a country that has experienced decades of conflict and financial upheaval. Furthermore, the monetary reform process involves more than just government leaders. It requires the active participation of various stakeholders, including local banks, international financial institutions, businesses, and the general public. Alaq and Sudani have been working towards creating a consensus among these groups to ensure that reforms are implemented effectively. This includes reforms to anti-money laundering regulations, enhancing the transparency of financial transactions, and ensuring that Iraq meets international banking standards. Such reforms are not purely technical in nature but require broad-based support and understanding across different sectors of society. Efforts to secure this support are often time-consuming and do not always proceed at the pace that outside observers might expect. Blaming individuals like Sudani and Alaq for perceived delays also reflects a misunderstanding of the monetary reform process itself. Monetary reform is not a single event but rather a series of coordinated steps that collectively aim to improve a nation's economic situation. These steps may involve changes to interest rates, currency redenomination, foreign exchange policies, and banking regulations, among others. Each of these steps must be carefully planned and timed to minimize potential negative impacts on the economy and the population. In Iraq's case, the complexities are magnified by the historical economic challenges and the need for structural changes in a post-conflict environment. The real obstacles to swift monetary reform often lie in legacy issues within the financial system, outdated infrastructure, and the influence of entrenched interest groups who might resist changes that threaten their positions. Those who hold the view that Sudani and Alaq are responsible for any delays may not fully appreciate the internal and external factors influencing the reform process. The impacts of global economic conditions, such as fluctuations in oil prices, a significant factor for Iraq's economy, or regional political dynamics, are often outside the control of national leaders. For instance, any instability in neighboring countries or trade partners can create ripple effects in Iraq's economy, affecting the speed and nature of the reform process. Moreover, the anticipation of reform often leads to speculative behaviors in currency markets, which can complicate efforts to stabilize the dinar. Sudani and Alaq have taken steps to manage these expectations and steer the reform process in a way that avoids economic shocks. In recent announcements, Alaq and Sudani have been joined by regional leaders like Barzani in communicating directly with the Iraqi people about the monetary reform process and the measures being taken to enhance economic stability. This demonstrates a level of transparency that is crucial in gaining public trust and ensuring that the population is informed about the nature and objectives of the reforms. The involvement of Barzani is particularly significant, as it underscores a level of cooperation between the central government and the Kurdistan Regional Government, KRG, which has not always been easy to achieve in Iraq's political history. His support adds to the legitimacy and credibility of the monetary reform efforts, showing that there is a unified approach toward economic policy at both the federal and regional levels. Blaming Alaq and Sudani for delays undermines the progress made thus far and disregards their proactive roles in overcoming hurdles that are inherent in any reform process. It fails to recognize that monetary policy decisions are not taken in isolation but are part of a broader economic strategy that includes fiscal policy, regulatory changes, and efforts to attract foreign investment. The emphasis should be on the cumulative impact of these policies and how they align with the long-term objectives of stabilizing the currency and fostering sustainable economic growth. Accusations against Alaq and Sudani may also stem from misinformation or misinterpretations of the situation by those who do not fully grasp the intricacies of the economic reforms or the challenges Iraq faces. Some may oversimplify the situation by attributing the cause of any delays to the decisions or actions of a few individuals, rather than considering the multi-layered and interdependent nature of economic policy. Monetary reform is an iterative process, involving ongoing assessment and adjustment based on current economic conditions, public feedback, and external influences. Leaders like Alaq and Sudani are tasked with making these adjustments to optimize outcomes for Iraq, rather than sticking rigidly to a predetermined timetable. To further understand why this blame is misplaced, it is essential to appreciate the foundational work that Sudani and Alaq have laid for the monetary reform process. For instance, under Alaq's leadership, the Central Bank of Iraq has implemented various reforms to modernize banking operations, including the introduction of new technologies to facilitate electronic payments and the development of measures to curb financial crimes. Meanwhile, Sudani's administration has been working on improving the regulatory environment to make Iraq more appealing for foreign investors. These efforts, though not always immediately visible to the public, are fundamental to creating a more stable and robust economic system that can support the monetary reform process. The criticism of these leaders might also be a reflection of the frustration felt by some Iraqis regarding the pace of change. While such frustrations are understandable given the many economic challenges the country has faced, they do not take into account the realistic timelines required for substantive reform. Sudani, Alaq, and Barzani have all been working towards long-term solutions rather than opting for quick fixes that could jeopardize future economic stability. Their approach shows a commitment to ensuring that any changes made are sustainable and beneficial for the country's economic health in the long run. The narrative that these leaders are the cause of delays ignores their significant efforts and contributions towards progress. The reform process in Iraq is not a straightforward path, but rather a winding journey that requires overcoming numerous obstacles, adjusting strategies along the way, and maintaining a vision for long-term success. Those who blame Sudani, Alaq, or even Barzani for any perceived setbacks might not be fully aware of the strides being made behind the scenes. The leaders have consistently demonstrated their commitment to reforming Iraq's monetary policies in a way that ensures economic growth and stability, and their actions are slowly but steadily leading the country towards a more promising financial future. Thanks for tuning in to IQD Dinar News. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. For more updates on the Iraqi dinar and global currency trends, hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. See you in the next video.